Hello everyone, how are you doing? Okay, let me welcome you to the third week of our course, Advanced Conversation. Well, in the last class we learned 80 common English expressions, and today we are very specifically going to focus on how to greet people in English. Well, both formally and informally. Okay? I really hope that you are going to enjoy it, and it's going to be super, useful for you for effective communications in your everyday life. Okay. So, very first thing is how to greet people generally in a formal situation. In the formal situations. So the very first thing is hello. But how do you say that? See, there's an exclamation symbol here. It means you need to be a little bit expressive, not just saying hello. It doesn't sound like a greeting thing. Okay, so you should be a little bit expressive with a good intonation to make things a little bit, more warm. Okay, so you say hello or hello, something like that, or hello. Okay. And then how are you? It's a very common and cliched one, but still so many people still prefer this in a formal situation. So you can say how are you? And then you have how are you doing? So you see, I started this class with this one. How are you doing? You can say this very often in a formal situation, okay? To greet people. And then, how is everything? How is everything? Or hello, how's everything? This is also a very common one. How is everything? How do you do? How do you do? It's a very, very formal one. If you think the situation is too formal and you should be very strict about using your language, in that case, you can say this. How do you do? Formal people in formal situations often use this. Okay, so the next one is, how's everything going? How's everything going? Okay. If you just say how's everything, it sounds a little bit informal. So you can say how's everything going? How's everything going? Yeah, this is another formal way of greeting people. How have you been keeping? How have you been keeping? Oh my God, this is too formal. I don't like it. But still you can use it. I trust that everything is well. Well, I think people sometimes say, I believe that everything is well. I believe that everything is well. It's also a kind of common greeting way. But remember, these are not all. There are some other ways, so many other ways of greeting people in different formal situations. So you can consider using them. Now, there's one thing that I would like to mention here is did you notice one thing that when I said these WH questions, including how are you and how have you been keeping, starting from here to here. When I said this, I didn't use a uprising tone. I have seen so many people, so many students of mine in a class using these WH questions like how are you doing, how's everything, how do you do. People use this mistakenly with a rising tone. I'll give you an example. People sometimes say, how are you? How are you? How are you doing? No, you shouldn't give a rising tone with WH question. Okay, so what do you say? How are you? How are you? How are you? How are you doing? How are you doing? Doing. Remember, when I say how are you doing, I'm not giving a rising tone, okay? I'm giving a lower tone. I mean the falling tone. The tone falls at the end of the sentence. So when I say, how are you doing? And how are you doing? See the difference? How are you doing? How are you doing? Doing. The tone falls at the end of the sentence. So remember when you are using a WH question, you shouldn't give a rising tone at the end of the sentence. Okay. But again, here I trust that everything is well. So this is how you can start a conversation. That's fine. And since this is not a WH sentence, you can give a rising tone at the end, depending on your choice, as you are the speaker, depending on your mood, depending on the situation, depending on the necessity you feel, you can give a rising tone here, but never with a WH question. Okay? So don't say, how are you? Don't say, how are you doing? Say, how are you? How are you doing? Okay. So this is a really important thing that you should remember. Okay, let's go to the next one. What is the next one? The next one is informal. General greetings, how to greet people generally in an informal situation. Hi. Okay, hi. What's up? Very, very common one. You can say this 1,000 times in your day in informal situations when you are meeting people. What do we mean by informal situations? When we're meeting some people that are like, your friends, family, sometimes colleagues who you have a good relationship, a friendly relationship with. But if it's a formal situation, you should avoid these phrases that we're going to learn in this slide. So generally in informal situations, people say hi, people say what's up. Okay, then you can say good to see you. How are things? It means how are things with you. You can also say that, how are things with you, or you can how are things. Then you say, how's it going? Sometimes people how do native people use this expression? They at the end of the going word there is a sound like ng sound, and people make it n sound. So people say, how's it going? It seems that there is you spell the word like GOIN, and that's all, with the absence of ng sound. So you can say, how's it going? It's very informal. Okay, and obviously you can also say, how is it going? Ng sound. It's also fine, but mostly people say, how's it going? In an informal situation. Okay, the next one is, how's life been treating you? This is another kind of informal greeting. Okay, so these were the informal ways of asking how people are in an informal situation. And remember the WH questions. How are things? No. How are things? How's it going? No. How's it going? How's life been treating you? No. How's life been treating you? So I'm making making the tone fall at the end of the sentence, just because there is a WH question at the beginning. Okay, remember this what's up is something different. I will talk about it later. Okay, and then we have greeting a person you haven't seen for a long time. This is not a general case, it's a very specific thing. Greeting someone you haven't seen for a long time. So how do you say that? How do you greet them in a formal situation? Okay, in these informal situations you say, it has been a long time. So it means you haven't seen this person quite for a long time. So this is a formal way of greeting people when you meet them. Okay. It's been too long. The same thing. It's been too long. It has been a long time means it's been too long. You can interchangeably use them. And then we have, what have you been up to all these years? Let's say you haven't met a person for years, and then you should say, what have you been up to all these years? That means you are really interested to know what these people have done, something new in these years when you didn't have communication. So very formal one. Okay. It's always a pleasure to see you. It's always a pleasure to see you. See? It's a kind of formal one also. And then, how long has it been? How long, Mr. Johnson, how long has it been? Okay, formal one. Okay, so, I'm so happy to see you again. This is also a formal expression when you meet someone after a long time. Okay? Formal ones. And then probably the informal ones. Right. Okay, so when you greet someone you haven't met for a long time, you haven't seen for a long time, and you know that this person is not a formal in a formal relationship with you, so you can say things informally. How do you do that? How come I never see you? How come I never see you? This is very informal one. Okay? And then it's been such a long time. Okay? It's been such a long time. It's also a great way to greet people. You can also say, long time no see. I use this a lot. So you can say that, long time no see. Mr. John, long time no see. Okay? I really use this a lot with my ex-colleagues when I think it's informal. Okay, so where have you been hiding? See, it's so warm to ask someone this question, though this is not a question, this is just an expression. Okay, so if you say, how have you been, where have you been hiding? It means you really want to see this person again and again, but it's been really a long time since you have met the person. You can also say, it's been ages since we last met. It's been ages. It's also the same expression. You can obviously use them interchangeably. So these were the informal ways of greeting someone and you think you haven't met them for a long time. Okay? And then the responses. Let's say, I'm fine. Someone is asking, how have you been? I'm fine. Very cold one, I guess. How are you? I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay? You can give a little expression, intonation. I'm fine. Okay? Just to show your warmth of your heart. Okay. And then, I'm good. It's also a common one, very common. I use this a lot. I'm good. Not too bad. You can also say that. I'm good. What about you? I'm good. What about you? Yeah? Okay. What about you? And then, not much. Okay, not much. Remember, I told you what's up is something special, because when people say what's up, you should say not much. You shouldn't say I'm fine. Okay, do not use any of these except not much or what's up. Okay, or sup. So basically, sup is the shortened version of what's up. It means the same thing. Sup and what's up. Sup is too informal. Okay, what's up is also informal. Already informal. But when you say sup, it's too informal. Okay, so how do you reply to this one? What's up? By saying not much. If people ask you, if someone says, what's up? Hey buddy, what's up? Or hey Mr. John, what's up? You shouldn't say, I'm fine. Okay? Or I'm good. Not too bad. I'm good. What about you? No, do not use them. So just say, not much. Or nothing much. Okay, not much or nothing much. You can say both of them. So people say what's up, you say not much. You can also say what's up. I mean, just saying the same thing for the reply. People say what's up, you also say what's up. That's all. Okay, this is how people greet informally, very, very informally. And then there is another thing. How do you do? Oh my god, this is a response. Is this really a response? Yes, response. Because when people say how are you, you shouldn't say how do you do. When people say how have you been, you shouldn't say how do you do. Rather, you should say how do you do only when people ask how do you do. Didn't get it? It means you say how do you do when people say how do you do. This is the reply. This is the same thing you reply by saying the same thing in reply to someone who says how do you do. That means how do you do is the response to how do you do. Just like what's up, what's up, what's up, how do you do, how do you do. Okay, you shouldn't say I'm fine or I'm good, not bad. You shouldn't say these things when people say how do you do. So we see these two things are really, really important, okay, to note. All right. And then we have some sample dialogues. Okay, sample dialogue 1. Oh my god, it's coming. Okay, no problem. Let it finish first. Good. Okay, so sample dialogue 1. It's a conversation between Robert and Bill. Robert says, "Hi, I'm Robert Chartrand." Very difficult name. Oh my god, I should have chosen something easier. So Robert says, "Hi, I'm Robert Chartrand." And Bill says, "Hi, I'm Bill Pelui." Pelui, how do you say that? I've got no idea. Pelui. Okay, Pelui. Let's say Pelui. "Nice to meet you." Bill says, "Hi, I'm Bill Pelui. Nice to meet you." Robert says, "Nice to meet you too. What do you do?" Bill says, "I'm a university teacher. How about you?" Robert says, "Me too. What university do you teach at?" Bill says, "I teach at Kinky University. And you?" Robert says, "Oh, I teach at Kurimi University." So you see, this is sample dialogue between two people informally, right? Informal one. Okay. You should focus on the bold expressions here. Nice to meet you, nice to meet you too, something like that. Remember one thing here, this I'm not saying nice to meet you, I'm saying nice to meet you, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Why am I saying that? Because when there is a t sound, look at here, there's a t sound at the end of a word, and just the next word starts with a y sound. Okay, I mean this you word starts with a y sound. Y sound. I'm talking about sound, not letters. Okay, you understand the difference between letters and sounds, I guess. So when it happens, you say ch, meet you, but not separately. When you say these two words very fast, I mean you blend these two words. You say meet you. So nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Okay, yeah. The next one is another conversation, I guess. Yeah, it's a conversation between A and B. It's again an informal conversation. So Mr. A says, "Hi Corey, hey Jennifer, good to see you." Then they hug each other. You don't have to do that in Bangladesh, because culture to culture it varies. You can do that if it's appropriate. Okay, so A says, "You too." It means Good to see you too. Yeah, good to see you too. You too means good to see you too. How have you been? How have you been? How have you been? It's a contraction, so you say, how have you been? B says, busy. You? Pretty good. How's your new job? It's okay. There's a lot to learn. What's new with you? A says, not much. The kids are back at school. So this is just a little, socialization between two people. Maybe they're friends or just the neighbors. They just catch up each other while going to work or something like that. And they just have a little small talk conversation. Mostly about greeting and asking each other's whereabouts. Okay, so what is the next thing? Another formal greeting. Okay, here now I'm going to these are some these are some screenshots from a book I uploaded to the LMS, uploaded to the course page. You can download it and see it by yourself. You can read them. So we are going to practice something from that book. I have taken the screenshots from that PDF book. So the formal greeting. Okay, let's look at the conversation. We can see 3 people are engaged here. Okay, Mr. James says, good morning, Professor Austin. How are you doing? Good morning, Professor Austin. How are you doing? Professor Austin says, good morning, James. I'm doing well. And you? And you? Say another thing. Here, the d sound and y sound, when they blend with each other, they create a j sound. So in the previous one, we saw that when the t sound and the y sound, for example, look at here, meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you. You don't say it's a pleasure to meet you. Okay, it's if it's a rapid speech, if you say it fast enough not to be able to differentiate between these two words, you can create a ch sound with the blending of the t and y. So when t and y blends, it becomes ch, and when the d and y blend, it becomes what? J sound, like and you. Okay, and you, yeah. So good morning, James. I'm doing well. And you? James says, I'm great, thank you. This is my friend Emma. She's thinking about applying to this college. She has a few questions. Would you mind telling us about the process, please? So James is requesting Mr. Professor Austin to give some information to his friend, Emma. Okay, because Emma wants to apply to this college. Professor Austin says to Emma, hello Emma, it's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you. See, again, meet you. I'm more than happy to speak with you. Please stop by my office next week. It means Professor Austin is asking Emma to meet him next week at his office. Okay, stop by means, meet me, come and see me in my office. Okay, when you go, this way. Okay, so Emma says, it's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Thank you so much for helping us. Very polite and obviously, formal. Okay, Professor Austin said, don't mention it. Hopefully, I'll be able to answer your questions. So Professor Austin says, don't mention it. What does he mean by that? Well, he really wanted to say welcome. Thank you so much. Emma says thank you so much, and in reply to this, Professor Austin says, don't mention it. Okay, so look at the, bold expressions, because we're going to analyze them right now. Okay, this is the situation. Professor Emma, Professor Austin, and James. Okay, so we're going to analyze the conversation now and see why people are using these things. So the greetings good morning or good afternoon or good evening are used at different times of the day to greet people. You understand that, you know that, I know. So good evening is often used after 6 p.m. or generally when the sun has set. Good evening, when you greet someone, okay? But remember, good night is not something that you greet by saying. So what to say after the evening when you want to greet someone? Let's say it's 11 p.m. and what do you say when you greet someone? Good night? No, you say good evening. Still, it's not evening, but when you are greeting someone at night, you should say good evening. Okay, so good night is not really a greeting. It's used when people leave a place or a group of people. So you can say thank you and good night, or good night and see you tomorrow. So these are the expressions you say when you meet someone at night, or you leave a place. When people meet in the United States, it's customary for them to shake hands, which is not always customary to us, but mostly it's also it also runs in our society. So a handshake should be firm and usually lasts for about 2 or 3 seconds. Oh my God, very intensive, which allows enough time to say nice to meet you. It takes, you should keep handshaking as long as you can say, or until you say nice to meet you. This is just a custom of United States. Okay, don't mention it is another way of saying you are welcome. I already told you. When you say you are welcome, you can formally say don't mention it. The phrase you are welcome is more formal, of course. Don't mention it can be used in an formal situation, also in an informal situation. But informally, you can say no problem. In American English. So, however, responses such as don't mention it or no problem or happy to help, these are the informal ways of responding to a thank you. Okay. Happy to help and don't mention it basically can be used in a formal situations, but still mostly it depends on the person, the way the person wants to socialize with people. And here in this situation, Mr. Professor Austin doesn't have to be too formal with the people because they're the students, but when Emma and James interact with Mr. Austin, Professor Austin, they should be formal. Okay. Now the next informal greeting and farewell conversation. This one is the informal one. Look at the conversation. These two things are in the same page, so it's going to be easy for you to have a look at that. So conversation between Jane and Helen. Jane says, "Hi Helen, how's it going?" "Hi Helen, how's it going?" Helen says, "Fine, thanks. And you?" Jane says, "Just fine. Where are you off to?" Oh my God, what does it mean? Where are you off to? Where are you off to? Helen says, "To the library." What does it mean? What does that mean? Where are you off to? Yeah, you are right. It means where are you going? And Helen says, "To the library." Okay, informally, and that's why she's used the just the phrase "to the library." I've got a history exam next week and need to start studying. So it means she doesn't like it, right? Okay, Jane says, "Oh no. Well, I'll see you later then. Good luck." Helen says, thanks, see you later. So you see, look at these bold conversation, bold expressions in this conversation, and we're going to analyze them. So hi, you can say hi. No, it doesn't sound that, that welcoming one. Hi is an informal way of saying hello. Notice that the I sound in hi is extended to show that Jane is very pleased to see Helen. It actually, when you say hi, it doesn't show that you are happy to see that person. But when you say hi, it means you are really enthusiastic about the person. You are really interested in that person. You are really happy to see that person. Okay, and you should remember that when it's a conversation, when it's a situation when people talk in person, tone is really, really important. Intonation is really, really important. So it's not only what you say, rather it's how you say as well, how you say things as well. Okay, so if you want to say, if you want to show your interest in someone, if you want to show that you are really happy to see someone, you should use an uprising intonation. Hi, hello, something like that. Okay, how's it going? The next one here, how is it going, is an informal way of saying how are you. How's it going? Yeah, we already seen it. How's it going? It's an informal way of saying how are you. Fine, thanks, and you? Fine, thanks, and you? Nice reply. Notice the rising and you. Notice the rising intonation on and you, okay, and you. And this shows that Helen is interested in what Jane has to say. Again, if you want to show your interest, you should say and you. But if you say and you, it's little cold. Okay, so greeting people doesn't only mean that you're just saying these things for the sake of saying, right? Greeting people means you are exchanging your feelings about a person. You are exchanging, the warmth of your heart with the person. You are showing that with for that person, by expressing it with the use of your tone, intonation. So this is really important. Where are you off to is an informal way of saying where are you going. Yes, we've seen that. Notice that the following intonation, since this is an information question, not a yes/no question. Yes, information question means that WH question. I already told you, when you are using a WH question, which means you are asking for some information, not only in the greeting part, but also in some other situation. For example, where is your father? It's not how you greet someone, right? But you are just asking for some information. Where is your father? So you shouldn't use a rising tone. You shouldn't say, where's your father? No, sounds awkward. So you say, how's your father? Falling tone, okay? But in a yes/no question, you can use an uprising tone. Okay, like, do you like it? Do you like it? The answer should be yes or no. Okay. So to the library means here to the library. Notice that Helen does not say I'm going. Okay, she just says to the library, because this is an informal conversation, right? So she doesn't have to say I'm going to the library, because this is an informal situation, and Jane already knows that she's going to mean that Helen is going to the library by saying to the library. Okay, so the communication is done just by shortening the whole sentence to the library, instead of saying I'm going to the library. Okay, in informal situations, you don't have to use the whole thing always. Okay. So we know that where are you off to? I think for most of you, this is a new expression. Where are you off to? Where are you off to? It means where are you going? Okay. Oh no is a way of saying I sympathize with you. People, you don't usually say this. I sympathize with you. That doesn't sound good, or doesn't sound natural. So, or I understand you are not happy. When you want to mean this, you can say, oh no. Let's say someone is saying something bad about them, and you want to sympathize. You want to say that you want to mean that you understand their problem. You understand that they're not happy. So you can say, oh no, this is terrible, something like that. Okay, so oh no, and then see you later. See you later is an informal way of saying goodbye. Okay, so yeah, these were the things that we had to cover in this class. I hope you really enjoyed it. There are several things I would really like you to remember. Number one is use your intonation properly. Show your warmth, show your interest to people about them when you are greeting them, just by using some uprising intonation. And be careful about using the uprising intonation at the end of a sentence, because you should not use the uprising intonation when you are using a WS question, like how are you, how is it going. You shouldn't say how's it going. Okay, so but in the yes no question, you can obviously use an uprising intonation. Also, sometimes you should not use you really don't need to use the whole sentence, like I'm going to the library. You don't have to say that. You can say to the library. That's all that means what you want it to mean. Okay, another thing I'd like you to remember is the pronunciation of the y sound, getting blended and creating what j sound, like and you. See here, and you, and meet you. Okay, meet you. But if you remember, if you say these words separately, like I'm happy to meet you. People don't usually say that way though. Okay, if you say these two words, meet and you, separately, you shouldn't create that ch sound. This ch sound is created just because these two words are getting blended together in such a way that you can't really separate them. Okay, so when people say meet you, nice to meet you, and would you like to, and you, okay, they create a different sound, third sound. Okay, so that was all for today's class. I hope you really enjoyed it, and if you have any question, you can ask in the forum I'm going to post there, and you should also help each other there, remember. And I would like you to use these things in your real life. Okay, whenever you call me or your other teachers, try to be formal in your tone, and in informal situations you shouldn't use the formal phrases. Okay, you shouldn't say how have you been, or how have you been keeping, with someone who is in an informal relationship with you. Like if you're talking to a friend, you shouldn't say how have you been keeping. Oh my god, no. You can say, hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's life? Something like that. Okay. So I really hope that you enjoyed this class. Thank you very much for attending this class. See you later. Bye bye.